What would we do without our mothers? We wouldn't have someone to do our dirty laundry or to kiss the boo-boo when you get one. We wouldn't have our willing servants. However, not every mother is a traditional, loving, caring mother. Some mothers just want to forget they had the child and tuck it away in the corner until, well, it seems to disappear from them. All because they want to live their own selfish lives. And where does this leave the child? Well, in the case of the loving mother, the child often grows to either have one of these two things: a great amount of respect and love for their parent, or resentment, because more often than not, the child with the abusive parent or the hateful mom has the opposite reaction to what you would think. You'd think they would run and cower from them and want them to be out of their lives, but most of the time, the child just wants them to love her, or him. David Pelcher recants the tragic story of his childhood in the book A Child Called It. He tells you about how his mother was so evil to him that she wouldn't even allow herself or his brothers to refer to him as David. She forced them all to call him It whenever they needed to refer. And well, in the story, he continues on to a time where every morning before school, when she would drop him off after his two brothers, making him late almost every morning, she would tell him that he can't tell anybody about the beatings. Remember, you fell down, you ran into the door. My own life was rocky as a child. My parents got divorced when I was 5 or 7, and unfortunately, my dad won us in the custody battle. He told my brother and I that my mother was a slut, that she hated us, that she didn't want anything to do with us, and, well, my dad got remarried about 4 years after my parents' divorce. He married a woman named Deanna, and she had 4 children. Now, this one time, I was sitting inside my room with one of her kids, his name being Cody, and he was sitting next to me by my bunk bed, and he sneezed on me. So I pushed him off, and he bumped his head, and well, he started to cry, of course, because he bumped his head. Then he went and told his mom, and my dad came in, and he, picked me up from my floor, and because he'd bumped his head, he slammed my head against the wall, and asked me repetitively, why I'd done it, and kept hitting my head, and then finally I got him to stop, and I just crawled in bed. Later on, when my mom did eventually win custody of us, only after my father's suicide when I turned 12, I learned that none of it was true. She hadn't abandoned us. She was trying all that time, but he didn't let us see her. And well, now I can't really imagine what I'd be without her. I'd still be with that man that slammed my head into a wall because I bumped another kid's. I'd be stuck with the man who chased me through the house, throwing a vacuum at me because I was trying to protect my younger brother from his beating. Without my mom, I probably wouldn't be here today. And for that time, those years that I didn't know her, I thought so poorly of her. And I'll never be able to justify in my own mind how I could think that about her. And we still argue, and we have a regular teen to mom relationship, but there's just part of me that'll never forgive myself for believing that about her. And when I think about losing her, well, I just break down because she's all I've got now. And so, I hope you can see that the bond between a child and their parent is eternal. The parent might not care for the child, but the child will always care for that parent.